I want to start with the Packers and the Steelers Sunday Night Football. It was a 35-25 Packers victory over the Steelers. Jordan Love completed 20 straight passes at one point, 29 of 37 for 360 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tucker Kraft was 7 catches for 143 yards.
I mean,
and
Tucker
2 touchdowns.
Kraft looked like Gronkowski.
137 of those 143 yards came after the catch.
I mean, he looks like Gronk, doesn't he?
He does. I couldn't tell if it was Gronk or if I was getting Kittle vibes, but there's definitely
it's just but the way he looks like just a freight train in the open field. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is with him. Is he just looks like, God, I wouldn't want to tackle that guy in the open field. And I think the Packers are a great example of. I mean, look, like we gave them all the attention, rightfully so, for the Micah Parsons trade. Micah's a great player, but there are so many players in this roster now that I just think are continuing to get better. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just, I think the player development aspect of this, Matt LaFleur and his staff deserve a lot of credit for that, because like Jordan Love's the most obvious one. He's kind of like the shiny example of it, but like some of their linemen, and then Tucker Kraft is a guy who they've continued to develop, and Romeo Dobbs and Christian Watson. And on the defensive side, you look at guys like Rashawn Gary's making plays, and Edgerrin Cooper, and like it's all these homegrown guys that they've kind of like kept chipping away with. You know what I mean? Like, and yes, like having like Micah Parsons makes a huge difference, of course. But this strikes me as like a really deep, well-rounded team. And I'm looking at it right now. If you're the Packers, don't you make a move?
Yes.
You know, like I would think about a corner if I were them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like that's where I would look. Because, I mean, they still, good as they are, like I think with like, you saw a little bit of it with DK Metcalf, like when they're going up against the best teams in the NFC, whenever this is down the line, you know, and they've got to deal with Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, or they got to deal with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown, or they got to deal with Jackson Smith and Jigba, or they got to deal with Mike Evans and Emeka Ibuka. I mean, I think they need a little bit more on the back end. That's just my opinion. But I feel like this team's like maybe like a defensive back or two away from winning the Super Bowl after watching them last night, especially the way they came from behind in the road, you know?
I would go so far to say, and you know, it's easy for us to be playing around with other people's money, but I would give Jeff Hafley as many tools as humanly possible. I mean, this offense, I think what we saw last night, and I'll lump Pittsburgh into this offense is young, it's explosive, it's affordable. It's everything. I mean,
even like seeing like a Savion Williams come on the way he did, you know what I mean? Like, and he looks like a legitimate weapon for them now. I don't know.
No, it's incredible, and they just look, and especially next to the Steelers, like the Steelers are a one-half football team now. They really are. If you look at their second half stats, they're abysmal. They can't stop anyone in the second half, and they can't score in the second half.
This might be low-hanging fruit. Is that age?
Yes. I mean, yeah, 100%. And that's why if I'm Pittsburgh, that's another team where you're already there. You're already all in. You know, why wouldn't you look at someone like, and this is probably fantasy at this point, but why wouldn't you look at someone like Chubb or Jalen Phillips or, you know, I don't know, like anybody, like I know that you love your pass rushers and your pass rush rotation. You know, you gotta find a way to get these guys some gas, because Mike Tomlin was sending blitzes yesterday. Like I think the next gen stats thing with Jordan Love was like, oh, he was amazing against the blitz. And he was really good, but these guys also weren't getting near him, you know, when they were blitzing. So I don't know how much havoc they were actually causing, but I agree with your initial point, Albert, that like, okay, whether it's Reek Woolen or I don't know, Roger McCreary or somebody, let's see the Packers go out and really, I don't know, really solder this thing up. Give Hafley some more weapons to play with, right?
I'm just like looking at like who they could go to. And I mean, I don't think like I'm like looking at the teams there, like a McCreary makes some sense. You know, do you call the Dolphins really can't help you much. You know, I mean, like the big swing would be like, do you go to the Browns and ask for Denzel Ward? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think the Browns would part with him, but like, I think that's where you're looking, is like, you're looking for a corner somewhere. And at the bottom of the league, there aren't like a lot of great options. Like, I don't know. Again, like, would the Giants trade a free agent they just signed in Paulson Adebo?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I'm really interested to see what happens, but I agree. I mean, I see both of these teams as buyers. Pittsburgh, because you have no choice not to, and Green Bay, because you're 5-1-1. Like, let's go. This is why you made the Micah Parsons trade. Like, let's hammer this thing. And to put a bow on the game, I would say this, Albert. I was never more struck with how well I think that letting go of Aaron Rodgers worked for both sides. And, people can say, what? The Steelers got beat by 10 points yesterday. Aaron Rodgers looks happier to me on the field than he has in a very long time. True or false? Doesn't he? Like, he was back to like 2008 Rodgers yesterday, where he was just so lost in the game, and he was doing the thing where maybe he's about to get sacked and he spiked the ball at a player's feet to get it incomplete, and he's yelling about offsides, and he's trying to work all that stuff. He looked vintage in terms of attitude. I mean, he ran away from Micah Parsons on that play. And similarly, Green Bay is just not bogged down by, I mean, there was just so much passive aggression there, I think, at the end. And every press conference is like, oh, what's Rodgers going to say about, their travel schedule, or their lack of weapons, or the fact that he may or may not come back and he's going to go into hiding and retreats and all this stuff. And like, both places look so much happier. It's like one of those divorces where you hang out with both couples and you're like, God, like, I'm so happy these people decided to split up.
Well, and I mean, to me, like, the true sign of everybody moving on was, I don't know if you saw the video, Melissa Stark had the report at the top of the broadcast, where you just saw like how happy Aaron was to see everybody.
Yeah.
It didn't seem like what this might have looked like if he had played the Packers, his first year with the Jets. And I think that's indicative of the relationships he has in that building anyway. But I think if this had been that first year with the Jets, then you'd probably there'd be just like more tension there. And I didn't sense any tension, like, it just felt like this was a happy reunion between Aaron and his former team. And, I talked to Jordan Love after the game, and he couldn't have been more effusive about like the stuff that Aaron did for him. So I think you're right about that. The Steelers are in a tough spot now, though. I mean, this is their schedule. Their schedule is tough from here on.
I know. They needed this one. And I feel like they needed this one. And I felt like this is why the NFL kind of gave them that whatchamacallit. This is kind of why the NFL gave them that easy early schedule, I think, just so they would remain relevant into this stretch here, where we got like the Chargers on Sunday Night Football next week, and they will be. But I think they couldn't have afforded to drop that Cincinnati game. That was the killer, because you would have.
Well, no, they have the Colts next week.
You would be 5-2 instead of 4-3. Right now, and then you run into your buzzsaw, right? Where you're the Colts, you're at Chargers, who are healthy, the Bengals again, at Chicago, Buffalo.
Yeah, I mean,
at
could the Chargers maybe have Hampton back by then, I think, right? Like, which is a game changer for them.
He needs to hurry the hell back. We're barely surviving right now. Although we had RJ Harvey, so this is a big day for RJ Harvey.